I do with Maricela. Perfect ceremony, love will grow. I do with Maricela.
Welcome to episode 6 of I Do with Maricela. What actually happens during the wedding ceremony? Have you ever wondered what actually happens during a wedding ceremony, like minute by minute? If that sounds mysterious to you, you're not alone, right? Today we're breaking down what happens during a wedding ceremony so that you can feel present and connected. Hi everyone, I am Maricela, wedding officiant and celebratory storyteller that brings your dream wedding ceremony to life.
Hi, I'm Henry, Maricela's right hand, and I'm here to make the process effortless. Today's episode is what happens during a wedding ceremony, right? We get this question asked a lot by new couples, especially younger couples who have no idea what the sequence of things are.
Yeah, never
Right.
been married. They haven't even been to a wedding ceremony. And even those who have, they don't really know the ins and outs of it or really what happens during one or what's supposed to happen during one.
Right. So we'll cover the flow of the ceremony in the order that most weddings follow. The most common mistakes that cause awkward delays. We've definitely
some of
seen
those.
a lot of those. Practical tips to prevent, wait, what do we do next?
Yes.
Moments, right? And then a quick rapid fire wedding checklist at the end.
So what's the problem during wedding ceremonies, right? What's the biggest problem? Well, couples often see the ceremony as a single event versus a sequence of events, right? The wedding ceremony is comprised of many moving pieces, but when people talk about wedding ceremonies, it's just the ceremony, 30 minutes, beginning, and that's it. Call it a day.
Not quite.
Not quite, right? Without a clear flow or decisions that are made last minute, it can lead to unclear entrances, vows that are rushed, or the attempt of memorization that doesn't always go very well.
This is why we always also suggest rehearsals.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And you'll hear it again today.
Yeah.
Rehearse, 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 right? Sometimes we have interruptions from music cues or microphones or seating that is not really clear. So when people are coming down the aisle, they fumble a little bit because they don't really know where to go. And then some of these things can leave the couple feeling disconnected from their own experience because things just didn't really go, they didn't go right, they didn't go the way that they envisioned, or sometimes there is no vision.
Yeah.
And they get lost, they feel lost. So we're here to help you not be lost.
It sounds to me like you're saying sometimes some couples just wing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
And winging it is cool for like elopements, right? Like beach elopements, park elopements, backyard stuff, some backyard stuff, not all backyard
right.
stuff. It's cool to wing it then, but it's not always, no.
Right. No.
And it also depends on what your vision for ceremony is. If you have a vision of what ceremony is, winging it is not the best approach.
No. Well, that's definitely something we never suggest.
No.
Right. Because we've seen some things.
Yeah. So the most common mistakes to start off with, the most common mistakes that we see is not mapping the ceremony time, the timeline, or assuming that your officiant or your planner is going to take care of that. Now, I will preface out to say that if you hire a professional wedding officiant like myself, we do take care of that for you. I design the ceremony from beginning to the end. You will not need to remember anything. You don't need to think about what is happening next, what are we doing next. We don't want you to worry about that. I handle the ceremony, like I said, from the moment that you walk in to the moment that you walk out, so that you don't have to think, that you don't have to remember. But if you're not hiring a professional wedding officiant, then your wedding officiant may not know what to do. They have never done it before, or if they've done it too few times to really know what
Right.
they can or cannot do, And wedding planners don't normally design wedding ceremonies to begin with, so this is where you decide what's worth your money, right? A professional wedding officiant or not, because please remember, you will get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People forget the who does what details. When you're not hiring a professional officiant, people forget who does what, right? Like who brings the rings. Remember we talked about rings?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Who cues the music? If you're not having a coordinator, then who's cueing the music? Who's letting the DJ know we're going to begin now, go ahead and start the music or end the music, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Who are you communicating your boundaries to? I do want this, I don't want that. Who are you saying that to? Do you want photos or no photos during your ceremony? And if you don't want photos during your ceremony, who is in charge of that? Again,
Making the announcement.
let the
Right.
announcement. Again, a professional officiant, I will take care of that. I take care of your announcements. We take the blame so that you don't have to. And we let them know, put your phones away. Sometimes couples don't want any phones, but when they arrive at altar, they want to give their guests like a minute or so to take as many pictures and video as they want. I take care of that. I keep track of that time. I remind them, okay, you have 30 seconds. Okay, you have 10 seconds. All right, phones away. But again, we take care of that so that you don't have to. If you want specific things, like we want to do a sand ceremony after certain readings, then if you're having a professional officiant, we will ask you that. We'll go through that during our meeting, especially if you want specific things. But when you're trying to do things yourselves in an effort to save money or to save costs, then who is taking care of that for you? Assign real people to real jobs.
Well, especially when you want, particular things in your wedding, then you absolutely have to make the time to take that meeting with your officiant.
Yes.
Right? Because
yes.
that's where all of this is going to be handled. Right? It shouldn't be once we arrive, oh, we want to add this, oh, we want to do that. That is the worst time to make any changes.
Yeah, and while like an experienced one as myself can handle last minute changes like that, still don't do it. Just don't throw it at us at last minute when we are arriving or we're right about to walk down to the aisle, down into the altar. That's probably not the place to make any more additions. If you really, really, really want to make some last minute additions that you just forgot or you really, really want, at the latest, tell us when we arrive, right? Because we arrive 30 minutes before. So at minimum, tell us then. I can make it happen, but don't stress us out. Be nice to us.
And guys, I think most officiants, we certainly don't charge for these meetings. No. So take advantage of them.
Yes, take
you know what
advantage
I mean? Take advantage of them.
And again, if you can't do an in-person one, that's okay. Do a phone one, do a Zoom one, but do something. Even emails. If sometimes people's schedules are like really, really wonky with people working nights or whatnot. That happens. So if you can't do any of that, your schedules don't align at all, then at least communicate through email. Like, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is what I definitely want, and then they can help you make that happen. The other thing that we noticed too is overpacking the wedding ceremony with too many readings or too many rituals and not enough time for the transitions. We also have to remember that when you overpack a wedding ceremony, your officiant needs to keep track of the time, right? Generally 30 minutes is what commercial venues have allotted for these days. And honestly speaking, is what most people can sit through.
No, especially nowadays.
These days is 30 minutes. So be careful with overpacking. I personally will tell you if what you're wanting is simply too much for the ceremony and for the time that we have. Weather is also a very key element when creating ceremony. There have been times where it's the middle of summer especially. This one bride wanted all these things in her ceremony, and they were beautiful things, all these readings and prayers and rituals and whatnot, and it was very beautiful. but the weather did not allow for that. The guys were sweating, they were nearly passing out. We just didn't have enough time to fit everything in, so I had to make a call and end the ceremony. I think halfway through, and just wrap it up as nicely as I could, because the guys were suffering, and I was really afraid that one of them was going to pass out, and they do pass out, and they have.
Yes, we have seen where somebody in the bridal party, or even the groom or the bridesmaids
they're
have
doing
passed
this
out.
sorts
Yeah.
of thing, and they're
Because unfortunately there's many venues that are beautiful and all, but they don't account for the sun, and there is no shade.
No shade.
Right? That's one of our biggest pet peeves here, right? Like not making accommodations for in the middle of summer having a ceremony in the middle of the yard,
In the middle of the day.
and
the height of the heat.
the sun is, at its full potential.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And everybody's in, a lot of layers of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
these
they're
layers are
nervous, and
And they didn't have water.
no water.
They didn't eat.
They didn't have somebody assigned to give them water. But
Everything that went wrong did.
But what did the couple do afterwards, though? They thanked you, right? They
Yeah, they
thanked you
did.
for cutting the ceremony short.
Yes, and I
Right?
thought she was going to be upset because again, she was really on what she wanted for ceremony, and she was so set on that. And when I made that executive decision, she was so grateful. It's like, oh, Maricela, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for doing that. I was dying.
Yeah.
I know you were.
Yeah, because
I saw you.
everybody was. right?
Everybody was.
Yeah.
If I'm hot, the bride and groom are twice as hot as I am, because
Right.
while I wear my black robe and it can get hot, but they're layered and they're
Right.
thickly layered. Her dress is thick. His suit is layered. He's got a vest, a shirt, a vest.
Yeah.
The top coat. Pants are heavy. I mean, it's tough. So consider weather too. Another instance is in winter. We have had winter weddings outside, and you need to account for that. Your guests are going to be cold. You're probably not going to be as cold as they are because of nerves, right? You're
Right.
nervous and you're running on
Adrenaline,
adrenaline,
right.
so you don't really feel the weather, but your guests will.
Especially
And
because they've been sitting out there for a while, probably waiting for the ceremony.
waiting for ceremony to begin. They're usually 30 minutes?
At least.
20
right?
to 30 minutes at least. And so we had this one where it was really, really cold. It was outside. They did have heaters, but heaters don't do a whole lot when it's really, really cold. And the wedding ceremony was just going really, really long. This is the way that they wanted it. And everyone was like, just shivering. So again, when I see certain things happen in ceremony, I will make executive decisions and wrap it up and cut it shorter, because we don't want to have anyone have to go to the hospital. You
Right.
definitely don't want to do that, because that's going to put a damper on the day.
Absolutely.
When the EMT arrives, that's no fun anymore.
No.
But also for guest comfort. They've been waiting there a long time for you, either in the heat or in the cold, and they're not running on the same adrenaline as you are. So it's important to consider them too.
So what's one or two actionable tips you can give us?
If you're not working with a professional officiant, then do a walkthrough of the flow. There you can find many timelines. We'll have a timeline available for you too that you can use. And if you don't have a professional officiant who can do that, then maybe ask your planner. Sometimes they have them. And then take a look at it and go through it line by line. Again, if you're hiring a professional wedding officiant like myself, we'll take care of that for you. You don't even have to worry about. Generally, what I say is, I want you to tell me what you want for a ceremony, and then I don't want you to think about it anymore. That is
Right.
my job. It is my job to bring your visions to life, and we will do that every single time. But if not, then run through the timeline, see what needs, and assign roles to the people who's bringing the rings, who's holding the rings. If you're doing a lasso, if you're doing a unity ceremony, if you're doing readings or poems or prayers, who is doing what, and assign those roles. Sometimes people have ceremony programs that they hand out. Who's handing them out? And who's making sure that they arrive, who's making sure that they get printed, stuff like that. someone should be responsible for each thing.
So, Maricela, what are some specific tips and recommendations?
Have a map, have a roadmap. So we'll go through what a ceremony really looks like, what we do from beginning to end, so you can have an idea of what stuff looks like. So first you're going to have the pre-ceremony, the guest arrival. Remember that the guest arrival time is different than the ceremony start time. So guests generally will start arriving 30 minutes before we actually begin ceremony. So they will begin to arrive. They generally hang out around ceremony
And one of the
area.
reasons, guys, is, for the most part, you're going to have a photographer there, a videographer there as well, maybe,
Usually.
right? Sometimes one or the other or both, right? And it looks, as far as, pictures and videos, it's pretty sad looking when you're getting married and you have like 50 chairs out there and there's only like 10 filled,
Yes.
right? Which is why we stress that the ceremony start time and the guest arrival time are 2 different times.
Yes, 2 different times. Also, too, just by nature, guests have the tendency to sit in the back of the chairs versus in the front of chairs. The first 2 rows are generally reserved, and they will have signs that they are reserved. So that's okay for them to be empty, because those will be occupied by the bridal party and who is in the ceremony. That's okay. But in the middle section, for whatever reason, guests don't like to sit there. When you ask guests to sit down, they will always choose the rear rows,
And-
leaving a big gap in the center.
This is where the coordinator comes in, right? A
Yes.
good coordinator will coordinate the seating as well. They will,
Guide people.
everybody to fill
the
in as
seats.
they come in, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, they're going to do exactly that. They're going to sit, if they're not sitting in the front seats, they're going to be sitting in the back seats.
It's just human nature.
And it's
What
terrible.
people do.
It's terrible for pictures and
It's
videos.
terrible for pictures,
Yeah.
because it looks like no one was there.
Right.
And it's okay if the back of the chairs are empty. Perfectly
Yeah.
fine. But it looks much better in photos and video if the front rows are filled. We can always remove the last rows if they're not occupied
Right.
for better pictures and better video. That is much easier to do than go in between people and start removing chairs.
And most pictures also will be facing towards the front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. So we don't really have to worry too much about that. But this is also a cue for you guests. When you go to a wedding ceremony, don't sit in the back unless there's nowhere else to sit
Right.
but the back. Then okay.
Otherwise, fill in
Fill
as
it in.
necessary.
Yeah, fill it in. It's okay for you to sit next to somebody that you don't know. It's okay. You'll get to know them at some point throughout the night. And you'll get to know them better. The other thing are, once a guest arrive, and a good coordinator, and sometimes a DJ, depending upon who you have doing this, will let your guests know when it's time for them to sit. They'll make an announcement. Sometimes if there is no coordinator or there is no DJ, the officiant will be the one to make the announcement, letting the guests know that we're going to be beginning soon, and please go ahead and take your seat. Whoever you have, just be sure that they do make that announcement to let people know, because people go to the restroom, they want to go to the bar, they do all the kinds of things. So when you want to reel them in. Generally, the couple will be off to the side or in the back somewhere, just waiting for start time to show up.
Would that be the processional?
The processional is when we officially start a wedding ceremony, and if all the guests have been seated, and we will do the walk-in. So the officiant walks in, if not already standing there. Most of the time when we begin, I will be already standing there, but sometimes I will walk in with the wedding party. The groom will walk in alone or with his parents, or together with his parents, or alone. Then the bridal party, and then the bride at the end. That's the processional.
Okay, and then that's followed by the welcome and opening remarks, correct?
Yes, but I do want to say about the processional, this is why it's important to practice, because a lot of times they choose music, right? You're walking in with music. So be sure that when you're having your rehearsal, we tend to practice with music. We ask you for the songs that you're going to want,
Right.
and we play them during ceremony so that you can hear what it sounds like as you're walking in, right? To control tempo. And there are times where couples want a certain time frame in the song, right? So we begin at 35 seconds versus the beginning of the song. Timing is important, and this is why we practice the music.
Going to say something that I know it's going to have a lot of coordinators disagree with us or not like us for it. But when you have your rehearsal, like we allow for an hour of rehearsal because we think the time is necessary. So when we're asked to either do the rehearsal ourselves, run the rehearsal, or just show up and there's a coordinator running the rehearsal, what are the two differences between them and us?
Practice time. When we are asked just to show up to rehearsal, right, just to have me there and we rehearse our parts, and the coordinator handles the rehearsal themselves, oftentimes the coordinators, either they're not too experienced or I don't know what else it would be, but they run the rehearsal, they run through it once, sometimes twice, and the rehearsal ends up being 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not the way that we operate rehearsals. We will practice for 1 hour. We will run you through, and at the last run through, we generally do 3 run throughs, sometimes 4. And at the final run through, we let you do it on your own. And we do not say anything to you. We don't cue you. We don't interrupt you. We just want you to do it as if you were at wedding day, because we want to see that you did catch it, that you did it did cement in your mind when you're walking, how you're walking, the tempo of your walk and whatnot, how your face should be. Not hands in pockets, no chewing gum, no shades.
Unless they're part of the actual.
Unless they're part of the deal,
right?
then you can wear the shades, but clear that with the bride, because she'll yell at you. But we want, at the end of rehearsal, we want to make sure that you do feel comfortable with what you are doing. We don't want to just throw you out in the wind come wedding day and then you're scrambling because you really forgot. You were nervous. You don't know. You don't remember. Right? So we also practice microphone speaking into the microphone. It's awkward for people. They don't do that every day. We practice a ring exchange. We practice walking with the bouquets, with the flower baskets for the kids and the ring boxes for the ring bearers. We want to pretend as best as we can on rehearsal day so that everyone is ready for day of. And that really, really makes a difference for people when they feel confident come wedding day, that they no longer need Henry or me to remind them of what to do. And I think that's important.
Yeah, no, we like to focus on a lot of the details, right?
Details. We focus on a lot of details, where a lot of coordinators or new coordinators are not there yet, where they're not as focused on the details. Right. They're focused on different details, but not on ceremony details.
Like, for example, how many times have you heard vows or not heard vows because the microphone is down here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what's one of the most beautiful moments of the ceremony?
It's the vows.
It's the vows.
Yeah.
It's hearing them, confess their love for each other, right?
Yeah.
Their story, right? But when you can't hear it, then it's like it didn't happen, right? People disconnect.
Yeah, they're wandering, they're looking around.
Right? So we practice that too. When you hire us for your rehearsals, we practice all of that stuff. Like your microphone is going to be where it's supposed to be, and you're going to hear yourself. You're going to know that when wedding day comes, that everybody's going to hear your vows.
Now we don't make you say the vows that you wrote. We're not going to have you do that. We're going to have you say that for wedding day, but we will have you practice your voice and the holding of the microphone, where it should be
placed. The placement of it.
The placement of it, how you should hold it, because it is a very awkward thing. They're not performers. They're not talking into microphones all day long. But we do want you to hear what your voice sounds like and how it's projected come ceremony day. So
which brings us on to the next topic, which is the main vows, right?
Yes. That's the main vows. That's where you say your own personal vows to each other, vows that you wrote, the statements that you're going to make, the promises that you're going to make, the story that you're going to tell, or, some jokes here and there. Again, we suggest that you don't memorize those, right? Have something ground you, paper or a book. Even your phone is okay, but have something in writing versus trying to wing it.
Don't wing it.
Don't wing it.
Guys, especially for the guys out there, the grooms. There's a lot of guys that believe that we could just wing it. Oh, I know how I feel about her.
I'm going to tell her.
I'm going to express it on the day of. And guess what, guys?
A beautiful sentiment, but it doesn't work out.
In the hundreds of weddings we've done, we've only seen that go right one time. One time.
And the reason why, it was because they were performers. They were already performers. So they have that ability to remember and to recall their lines. They do that. That's their job. The rest of us, we don't do that as our job.
No.
And so we can't recall that way. For you to recite 3 minutes of vows just off the top of your head, you're going to struggle. It's just the way that things are. So be prepared to execute it nicely. So do practice your wedding vows too before you get up to the altar. Practice it with yourself, or practice it with somebody.
Or in the mirror.
Or in the mirror. Something that helps you. Video yourself doing
Mm-hmm.
it so that you see how you look, you see how you sound, how it comes out, the tempo of your reading. If you don't like it, change it and practice that to make it easier and nicer come wedding day.
So, of course, after the vows come the ring exchange.
Mm-hmm. Now, for ring exchange, generally I will ask before ceremony who has the rings. Make sure they're on site.
And there's been moments where
they're not on
all
site.
of a sudden nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Nobody has them. But we have enough time at that moment. At the altar is the worst time to
Figure it out.
Figure out
Right.
where the rings are. So generally, I will ask beforehand where the rings are, and either I can hold them. I have pockets in my robe where normally I do, or the groom holds them, or the bridesmaid holds one, and the best man holds the other, and then we call for them. And we also practice that too. Come rehearsal. We're going to practice who has the rings, how they're going to present the rings, and how you're going to exchange those rings.
Mm-hmm. And that would be followed by the pronouncement.
Yes, this is the best part that people love, obviously, because this is where we declare you married, right? We declare you husband and wife, or Mr. and Mr., or Mrs. and Mrs., however you want to be introduced. We introduce you that way. That is the declaration of you being officially married.
Right. And to add to that happens to be my favorite part.
Yeah.
Is when we get to that part and pronounce them married, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a reminder, at least to me, that we're in the right business. Mm-hmm. Because every time we get to that portion of it, actually, I'm getting the goosebumps right now. I always get goosebumps at that end, at the ending of the pronunciation of this marriage,
Mm-hmm.
when we legalize it, with the authority that's been given upon us to do this,
do
this act, is when I feel it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It is a big deal.
It's great power, right? It's great responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And we
Right.
are literally changing people's lives.
Right. And to me, and I know you feel the same way too. It's something amazing that we're called upon to do.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And it's an honor and it's a privilege for every single couple that we
Absolutely.
perform this for.
Definitely an honor to be given that responsibility to take them through that journey with us on that day. It is a big responsibility. And it's such an honor, which is why I say it during ceremony. It's such an honor.
And a privilege.
And a privilege, absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you don't get goosebumps as an officiant every time you do this, maybe you're not in the right business.
Right, absolutely.
Here
we go again.
Yeah.
No,
So
I love that part.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, the first kiss.
Yes, the first kiss. And so during rehearsal too, we will also rehearse the first kiss. Not exactly the way you're going to do it on day of, right? Practice that separately yourselves, but the actual knowing that the act is coming, A good officiant will or shall move out of the way of the photo while you're doing that, so that you only catch the couple and not the side of my head when they're doing that. To give a clear photo, this matters. This portion should not be rushed at all.
And then this part here, is where you realize a good photographer, right?
Yes.
Because they have come up to us before the ceremony to let us know that, do we move out of the way, or can we move out of the way
Yes.
when this first kiss is happening? But we
Yes.
already know that, right?
Yeah.
We already know that once this is happening, it cannot. We don't need to be in the picture. We shouldn't be in the picture. So we step to the side so that moment can get captured.
And it's funny that you say that, because the first thing that they'll ask when they want to ask that is, have you done this before?
Right.
Right? That's their way of asking, are you a professional?
Right.
Do you know what you're doing?
Right.
They'll always ask, have you done this before? I'll always say yes. And I know where they're getting at, so I will come out and say it. Yes, I do move aside for the kiss. Oh, thank you so much.
Right.
But it's a great professionalism from the photographer to ask those questions, because that is important.
Right.
You do want that good shot. That's the money shot.
Plus,
those ones that you have.
You never know anybody's level of professionalism.
You never know, right? No, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know unless you've seen them before, you worked with them before,
Or or by asking.
Or by asking. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So timing matters.
In the end, we have the recessional.
Yes. That's the end. We've already declared you husband and wife, you've already had your kiss, and now we're gonna do the walk out. If you had a rehearsal, you already know how to do it, but music cues are important. If you had a rehearsal, everyone knows what to do, right? Generally, I will have a conversation with your DJ most of the time and let them know what is the very last thing I'm going to say, so that he is prepared to hear it, and then he starts to play music at that cue. Sometimes it's your coordinator who gives that cue. Sometimes it's me who gives that cue if no one else is present.
Right.
But if the professionals are not there for whatever reason that may be, then who assigns someone who's going to give that cue, and the exit order, and how you walk out back to the end of ceremony area for photos and whatnot.
Okay. So, what are some specific tips to make each section go smoothly?
Clarify your ceremony start cues. When are we officially beginning, and who's going to give the announcement that we are beginning?
Right.
First and foremost. So essentially, that's what triggers the processional. Who's going to do that? Is it going to be the DJ? Is it going to be the officiant? Is it going to be the coordinator? Who is doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, have a rehearsal. Again, have a rehearsal. You don't have to have a big wedding to have a rehearsal. You pay good money for photos, good money for video. You want them to be as nice, as polished as you can, because you're spending all this money. So rehearse. Even if you can't hire a coordinator for a rehearsal, or me for your rehearsal, have it amongst yourselves and just make sure that everyone knows what they are doing.
That's a good point. Like what you just said, if you can't fit it in your budget, right?
Because sometimes we can't. Let's be realistic
At
about
least
that.
rehearse on your own.
At least.
Right?
Yes.
We can't stress enough the importance of rehearsal. Whether it's professionally ran through officials
us.
like us, coordinators, or at the very least amongst yourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do rehearse and have a walkthrough, so that you also see visually what it looks like, because a lot of times we have things in our mind that this is what it's gonna be like, and then you have that run through and it's not like that at all.
Right.
And you have to make adjustments, so you have to make changes, and you can only do those if you have a rehearsal, right? So when you have a rehearsal, you're deciding who holds the rings, who's going to bring the flowers or handing them down. A microphone. An officiant should always have a microphone. Sometimes a DJ is not there when we officiate,
Right.
and they won't be there until later. A professional officiant, like myself, carries her own microphone and her own speaker, right, that we carry everywhere to every event. We carry it even though we know they're going to have a DJ, because things have happened.
Right.
Microphones have fallen apart. They have broken.
Or the DJ's running late.
Speaker went
DJ's
out.
running
Or
late.
the DJ is running late. He's stuck on the 405 and he's not getting here.
Right.
So we are prepared for things that can happen, but a microphone is very, very important. Sometimes we hear that, well, it's just a small ceremony, it's only 10 of us or 20 of us or even 30 of us. We really don't need it. Yes, you do.
You do.
You do. Even if it's just 10 of you, generally you do.
We always suggest a microphone and speaker system, always.
Yes, especially when we're outdoors. When we're outdoors, sound carries. And when we're outdoors, only us, the three of us, will hear perfectly fine. Anyone who is even 5 feet away from us will no longer hear because, again, outdoor sounds, they're loud and it does carry. So they won't hear you and they won't be connected. They won't feel part of ceremony because they didn't hear anything that we said.
And no, the answer is not have your officiant
Yell
the ceremony.
No,
that is not the
nice.
answer. No.
Projection.
We've seen it before.
Oh, we've seen it.
We've seen it before,
Yes.
right? Because people say they can't hear, so they got to project much louder. But you know what?
It sounds like screaming.
It sounds really bad.
It doesn't sound as nice, and it just sounds like a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
And even though the officiant can project outward, the couple doesn't when they say vows. They're very nervous, and they'll whisper sometimes, and you won't hear them at all.
Right.
I'll hear them, but you won't. Let's see, what else? Who coordinates, again, with the photographers and the videographers and their positions. If you're going to have a kiss midway down the aisle and at the end of the aisle, your photographer should know that so that they can be prepared in position. Lots of times we see where the photographer didn't know where you had planned, your extra kisses, so they'd miss them because they weren't prepared to catch them. And especially when you don't have a team of 2 photographers, you only have 1. They can't really be everywhere at once, so tell them what you want so they can be prepared and be ready to shoot those shots. We see too many times where they get missed.
So tell me, Maricela, how do we protect the ceremony from interruptions?
Decide beforehand what interruptions you don't want. One of the things is ceremony start time, right? When ceremony begins, do you want to allow people to continue to come in and sit down, or are you stopping them from coming in and having them wait until ceremony is over? People have different preferences about that. We've seen both of those things, where if you're okay with people coming in mid-ceremony and having a seat, perfectly fine. There are couples who do not want to be interrupted at all. They told you 5 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock they're closing doors, and you will have to wait outside.
Mm-hmm. We've seen it. It happens.
Wait on the side because they're not going to let you in. This is why being punctual matters. This is a big event. Time frames or timelines are not guidelines for you. They are instructions. So if you don't want to be left outside during ceremony where you're just listening, then please be punctual, be on time. And also too, when phones, if you don't want to be interrupted with phones, then make sure that someone is going to handle that announcement for you for the phones. Especially the phones ringing, because people still do that. They forget to turn them off. So you do have to remind people, either turn your phone off or put it on silent or on airplane mode, whatever, because people do forget. Or they think that their phone was on silent and it really wasn't, and now all the phones are ringing.
So what's a mini example of how to prevent chaos?
Ceremony begins, right? Ceremony starts, the processional music, it plays. That's your cue that it is beginning. We're beginning showtime. And then, but no one has a lasso, right? You want a unity ceremony, you wanted a lasso, but no one has it. Right, so this is why, again, you need to plan and you need to rehearse. During rehearsal, we make sure we have the lasso. Someone is practicing. I make the moms practice with it and the couple practice with it so they can feel what it's like. So even if it's missing on day of, they'll know. Like, oh, wait, this is my part. Where is it? Where did it go? When you have a rehearsal, it prevents you actually forgetting the items on day of. It seems silly, but it is really helpful.
It seems like we become the most forgetful on the day of, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So many moving pieces, so many things happening.
And you know, we're tired.
Tired, stressed.
We forget things.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And also too, when you're rehearsing, generally when we rehearse, especially when the bride or groom is walking in with both parents, a lot of the times they forget to leave enough room in the aisle for the 3 people, and they
Right.
only have room for one.
One or two.
Or
Right.
1 or 2 at
Right.
most. So come ceremony time, that third person is in the back walking behind them because there's no room and everyone is already in the seat,
Right.
and you can't move chairs anymore. So when you practice the width of your chairs to ensure that all 3 people are going to fit, so that there are no awkward sideway movements or someone is weird in the back,
Right.
feeling left out because we didn't plan for that.
So, best wedding advice for this
Wedding
topic?
day?
Yeah.
Make your ceremony flow predictable so that you can be emotionally present. Make it predictable, meaning you know what's coming, you practice it, you saw it, you heard it. So come wedding day, you are less nervous and you're emotionally present with yourselves, with your partner, and with your guest.
Biggest wedding mistake couples make?
Assuming that someone else knows the plan when you haven't told them the plan. And you didn't confirm the timelines and you didn't confirm the cues or the responsibilities. Assuming someone else knows that is the first way that people go wrong.
Okay. What about one thing every couple should spend money on?
Here I go again. A professional officiant first and a professional coordinator. You need help.
With that
Trust
said,
me.
one thing couples should skip.
Too many elements without considering the buffer or without considering the weather. Remember, making a ceremony too long when it's really, really hot and we're outside, there's no shade, or it's really, really cold and windy. Ceremonies in those conditions should be short, and they should not be full of stuff, because people will have medical emergencies.
Let's not forget the rain, right? We have performed
Rain,
weddings
absolutely.
in the middle of the rain.
Yes, not my favorite, but we've done
Right,
it.
right. No, we promised to marry you.
We will.
We're gonna marry you.
Rain or shine,
Right,
but it's just uncomfortable.
right. Absolutely. So give us a wedding tip of the week.
Create a ceremony cue card if you're not going to have a professional officiant or a professional planner or a coordinator. Then have a cue card. Who is doing what? What time are we doing it? Put down there the words that are going to cue the next person to do their role. That's helpful when we don't have professionals or we can't have professionals.
Well, let's recap the biggest takeaways here. A wedding ceremony isn't just one moment.
Right.
It's a sequence. When you confirm the sequence, assign roles and protect the timing.
Mm-hmm.
The ceremony feels smooth and meaningful that way.
Always.
Yeah. If you're planning now, take action now.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for your ceremony outline and confirm who cues what. Mm-hmm. If you have professionals,
Don't worry about it.
you don't have to worry about
Because
it,
they're
right?
going to do it for you.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that part. They have it. Don't worry about it. If you have professionals helping you on wedding day, you can worry about other things, like your dress, like the color of your dress, like
looking beautiful.
looking beautiful, looking handsome, taking photos. You can focus on other things.
If this helped you, please share this episode with a friend who is planning a wedding. Mm-hmm. And subscribe now so you don't miss the next planning breakdown.
Mm-hmm. So from our hearts to yours, thanks for listening and stay kind. I am Maricela.
And I'm Henry.
Love
Love is everything.